Welcome to Public Speaking, Spring of 2023. My name is Furman Irigoyen. I will be your professor for this semester. So in this video, I will be highlighting our syllabus, give you a textbook tour, as well as how does our Canvas shell look like, so you have a better sense as to the overall feel and the pace of the course. So at the top of the syllabus, I do have my office hours. They will be by arrangement. I will be able to set time for you to meet. My office is in 15111, and usually we can answer almost all of our questions and get individual help in class. But if we need to talk about something, the best way of getting a hold of me is through email. So email is the absolute best way to get a hold of me. The textbook we will be using is Public Speaking, Your Pathway to Success, the 3rd edition, and that is through Kendall Hunt Publishers. To purchase the textbook, which is required and mandatory, to purchase the textbook, simply click on this link here. It'll take you right to the order form. You pay, and you'll be able to download your textbook. Your textbook is absolutely critical to your success. I will give you a tour of that later. However, I want you to know that in order to take your quizzes, you have to have the textbook. So please, make sure you get that textbook purchased and ready to go as soon as possible. Here we do have our student learning outcomes, and it looks like we have 6 outcomes. I will let you read those on your own. However, most of our assignments will be touching upon all 6 of these. So our first census date is February 6, 2023. I do want to share with you the grading so we all know what's going on. So I grade on a straight scale. So that means I do not use plus or minus grading. And percentages are usually rounded down. So for example, if you have an 87.3, that's an 87. If you have an 87.9, it's an 87. 90 to 100% is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and below 59 is an F. If for whatever reason we start the semester and you stop coming to class, stop doing assignments, it is your responsibility to drop the course. In our class, we're going to have 3 major speeches ranging from a special occasion speech at 10%, speech to inform at 15%, and a speech to persuade at 20%. So early in the semester, we'll be doing our special occasion speech, then we'll build up for an informative speech, and then the last speech of the semester where everything comes together, that'll be your speech to persuade. Now, as I mentioned earlier about your quizzes, that's 45% of your grade, and you'll have to use your textbook in order to access those quizzes. Now, when it comes to grade, please review your assignment score promptly when I have them put on Canvas. Assignment scores not questioned within 3 days after the scores have been awarded will be considered final. We're not going to do an assignment in January and then come May, we're having a dispute about a grade that happened 3 months ago. We're not doing that. So for our speech requirements, we do have to have our topics approved by me before we do our speeches. And you'll find that I scaffold our assignments so that you have smaller assignments leading to each of your speeches. With those various assignments, which I'll show you when we get to the Canvas portion of this video, each of those key assignments have due dates, and usually there's a grade penalty if for not doing those assignments for your speech. I think one of the biggest tips I have for you is to read the instructions. Read the instructions. So for all of our assignments, I have very clear, very specific assignment requirements. So half the battle in this class is being able to read and follow instructions. So when we take our quizzes, when we do our speeches, we're not cheating. We're not using other materials that are not authorized. We're not stealing speeches and presenting them as our own. When I do spot this, it'll simply be a 0 for the assignment. Our quizzes are usually about 15 questions per chapter, and we have 16 chapters in our textbook. Usually they're true, false, multiple choice, maybe some matching. Down here, you'll see our class schedule. You'll notice that I have 3 columns. One is the week, next is the date, which is the week of, and third is discussing the topics. So during week 1 of the semester, which begins January 16th, so you'll notice that all of these dates for the date, week of column, they all are on Mondays. So I kind of see that as on Monday of that work week, this is what we'll be covering. In addition to this schedule, I have everything in Canvas with all the assignments posted with the appropriate due date so that you're able to stay on track via Canvas. Probably a lot easier than looking at our calendar here. So for the main speeches we're going to be doing this semester, you'll do an introductory speech, which will be a couple of minutes long. Again, I have that prompt available for you in Canvas. We'll have a special occasion speech. Here I'm looking at a 3-minute special occasion speech. And as we get closer to this assignment, you'll be informed as to what that entails. For our speech to inform, we're looking at a 5-minute speech. Here we have to actually do research and weave in our sources. The required sources that we'll be using are books, magazines, newspapers, academic journals, and of course your audience survey findings. Again, I will teach you how to do all of this stuff. But again, all of our assignments are building blocks. For the last speech of the semester, it's carrying all those lessons we've learned since January and having a final speech to persuade. So here, we're looking at a 5 to 6 minute speech to persuade the audience for or against a question of policy, fact, or value. So again, we're going to learn how to do all of these things. So when looking at your speech outlines and things like that, outlining is a big deal. Outlining is a huge deal. And I will teach you how to do this from the ground up. Also, we have introductions of our speeches. They have specific points that we need to cover. Of course, our body must be strong with quality research, clarity of main points, suitable of those main points. And of course, we have the body, which is really the engine of the speech. And of course, we'll have a bibliography on top of that, which will be in APA format. I'll also be looking at your conclusions. They have a couple of criteria you want to follow, as well as your delivery. Maintaining quality eye contact, avoiding distracting mannerisms, articulation, pauses, vocal variety, volume, rate of speech, visual aids, gestures, and overall enthusiasm for the speech. Audience analysis is absolutely critical. Public speaking is an audience-centered activity. And so here I'm going to teach you what things you need to assess about your audience. In addition, how do you gather information about your audience in order to present a message that is tailored to your specific audience. I will teach all of this stuff from the ground up. Don't feel any pressure. We need to know this at this point in the game. Here, you'll see that I have some Comm 110 modules, which is really used to work with our Comm lab over Building 10. And here, again, all of these modules are in Canvas with specific instructions as to what I'm looking for. You'll be able to get more detailed information, but I wanted you to know that we'll be doing 7 modules this semester, and you'll find that many of these modules are building towards your speech. So here, I got some general conduct points that I'd like you to look over. I just want us to be responsible adults in this class. I treat you as such. I expect to be treated as such. I'm here to help you succeed. I'm here to help you get through this class and this requirement. So we can do this together. So the technology policy, of course, is you can use your cell phones, your computers, but there'll be times in class where I'll be having something on the board and I'll have everyone put their things away or close their computers and things like that, just to make sure that we have complete 100% undivided attention. With that said, I expect there's going to be a responsibility with those electronic devices that we're not texting friends on various social media accounts, doing everything and anything but what you're supposed to be doing. Moreover, I do not want to be either recorded on video or audio in class. Okay, so I do not want to be recorded either in video or audio formats in class. You'll find a little bit later that I have all of our class lectures online for you. So that's a big help. As I mentioned, we do not cheat. When I catch you, it'll be a 0 for the assignment. We have no makeup exams. No late work will be accepted without prior approval of me. I don't do makeups and I don't do late work unless you talk to me prior to the due date. And then from there, I'll make a judgment call as to whether I'm okay with work not being turned in on time. So just to be very transparent, I'm pretty strict about this. So I'm very strict about this. So keep that in mind as you go through our class. As I mentioned earlier, there are no makeups for missed or late quizzes, exams, papers, speeches, and other class exercises. You'll find that I gave you a lot of time to do each of these assignments That gives you the wiggle room if you plan accordingly to handle what you may have to handle, as well as get my assignments done. As I also mentioned, there are no extra credit opportunities in my class. I just need you to do your job and do it well. Okay, so at the end of this semester, we're not doing extra credit projects where I get a flurry of just rushed and garbage work in order to get a couple of extra points. I don't want to invite that chaos into my life. As I mentioned earlier, email is the preferred method of contacting me. Here I got some instructions on how to forward, like let's say your school account to your private account so that you'll be able to access your email that way. Here, DRC, in coordination with the DRC Disabled Resource Center Office, regional accommodations will be provided for eligible students with disabilities. So if I get a form, your accommodation form from the DRC, I'll put that in and you'll have the required time that you need per the DRC. Now, one thing I really want to stress is that once I get the form, the accommodations start from that day forward. It is not a retroactive privilege. Okay, so just to keep that very clear. Here I have some additional support that you may have. The Comm Studies Lab, the library, counseling, personal counseling and wellness. There's a lot going on in the world, and I think that it's important that you know that you have resources to help you with life outside of your classes. We have a strict sexual harassment policy here at the district. That's something I don't put up with in my classes. That's just not cool. If you want to see the entire harassment policy, I have a link here for you. So that's an overview of our syllabus for the spring of 2023. Good luck to you. We'll lead you over to the textbook video as well as the Canvas video. Thank you. Okay, so here we are on the textbook leg of our tour here. Public Speaking, Your Pathway to Success, the 3rd edition. Here on this tab here on says Welcome, you'll see I have a little welcome letter for you. And then here you have access to the syllabus as well as your taking of a syllabus quiz. And that's all on the Welcome tab. Our next tab up here is the chapters. So we have 16 chapters. And if we were to click a chapter, you will see that each chapter has 2 pages to it. And the way to move from the first page to the second page is like through right here. That takes us to our next chapter. And that takes us to our second page of the chapter. And you'll notice that I have PowerPoint slides for each chapter, which you could download here. I also have the Chapter 4 quiz. And in order to start it, it says, your status, begin your attempt here. So all of your quizzes are on the second page of the given chapter. Each chapter has 2 pages. The first page is the content of the chapter, and the second page has your quizzes, your PowerPoints, and your flashcards. So in looking at a standard chapter content, they all run very consistent 1 through 16. So here I have the content, and you'll see all of this information here. Something I'd like you to know is that the way I wrote this textbook, it had the beginning public speaking student in mind. So in other words, I wrote this textbook that a beginning public speaking student can understand what I am talking about. Oftentimes in our textbooks, we write for other professionals in the field, failing to remember that our communication is an audience-centered activity. Towards the end of the chapter, I have a summary. The summary is a pretty detailed summary. Some criticism about my summaries is that they're too long, and I'm fine with that. Because for me, it's really important that you understand the material. In a pinch, you could read the summary and get a pretty gosh darn good grasp of the content of the chapter. And then as we move down, we can hit the next button to get to the second page of the chapter, which would be where our quiz, our PowerPoint slides, and our flashcards are, that's how a standard chapter looks. It's very consistent between chapters 1 through 16. Let me get you over to the resource tab here. This is a very important tab. The three main speeches that we're doing this semester are special occasion speeches, informative speeches, and persuasive speeches. And you'll learn that outlining is a huge deal in my classes. Outlining. So in this resource tab, I have a outline checklist. So when you do your outline, you have a checklist of things that you need to make sure you have. And I also have sample outlines for those particular assignments. So you'll see that in the informative speech, I have a variety of different informative speeches here, as well as an informative speech preparation outline checklist. If you were wondering what I grade when you do your speeches, I grade your outlines pretty hard. And something to remember is that if you're wondering what I look for in an outline that I grade, look at the checklist. I just immediately go down the checklist. You kind of know what I'm looking for before the assignment is even assigned. And I have a variety of speech to persuade, speeches in outline form, as well as an outline checklist. Here, just for kicks, I've got some links to some famous speeches. I do have some research and statistical databases available to you. When trying to figure out a topic, here are some links you might want to consider. Bibliographies and citing your sources correctly is a very big deal. I have a set of resources for you in generating your bibliography, and we'll learn how to do all of this good stuff in class. Here in your textbook, you can track your grade by going into your grade book, but you can also do that on Canvas. Okay, so all of the textbook and Canvas I have is integrated. And of course, a glossary of all the key terms are back here. But you'll see these key terms in your second page of the various chapters as it relates to that particular chapter. Okay, so that pretty much covers the tour of our textbook. Now we're just going to hop into Canvas and see what that looks like. All right, so here we are at our Canvas homepage for our course. You will see that I have my contact information here. Once again, my preferred method of communicating is through email. Another way through Canvas that you can contact me is over here. You have an inbox and you can email me through there, and that seems to be a pretty seamless process of communication between us. Here you'll see that we have our link to our syllabus. And then if you want to see this video in all of its glory, again, the link will be posted right here for you. I'm going to kind of go down the menu item so you can see what's going on there. A method of communication to you is through the announcements. So through your preferences, please make sure you get those announcements because they are very important. I will be giving you, for example, a public speaking master rubric. And it's the master rubric of what I look for and what I'm going to be grading you on for your speeches. I will also going to be sending you videos like how-to videos to make your life in this class a lot easier. So be on the lookout for those, guys. Let's next move to assignments. I have participation assignments, and I have assignments for your speech for special occasion here. I have assignments for your informative speech. I have assignments for your persuasive speech. And then here you got links to your quiz, but that will be taken through your textbook. So those are integrated. Down here you'll also see I've got class lectures. And all of our class lectures, 1 through 16, are all here. And they're YouTube videos with PowerPoints. And the PowerPoints that I use in the video are also available to you on that second page of your chapter in the textbook that we talked about earlier. So let me show you Comm Lab module assignment. Here what I'd like you to do is we'll go to the module 1. And I left a note up here. Please complete the Comm Lab self-reporting form after finishing your assignment. Okay, so once you get done with all of this business, I need you to come back here, click on this link, and then fill out that form so that it gets sent to the Comm Lab. So these assignments, these Comm Lab assignments, are usually a 2-part process. I give very specific instructions as to what I'm looking for. If we were to click on this form, let's see what this looks like. Okay, so we clicked on this form, which takes us here. You want to verify what class you belong. So here we've got public speaking 110 class, CRN 95625. You click that, then you click the next button, and then you type in your G number, and then you want to make sure you type in your first and last name. And then here it's asking for the minutes. There's nothing scientific to it. When in doubt, round up. So in other words, something took you like maybe 35 minutes, but you weren't sure if it was 35, just put down 45 minutes or even an hour. That's fine too. I believe they want you to just put the number of minutes. So the number 6 for 6 minutes, and let's say 90 for 1 hour and a half. Just plug that in. And then you type in the date on when you did this assignment. And then here they got a drop down. So for example, for many of our work, we can do speech practice session for self-evaluation. We can do that. And then we can click next, and then it'll take us to the next screen, but it's a self-explanatory form. And that way we're able to track our numbers in terms of lab use and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's go back to assignments. So when going through all of this stuff on Canvas, it's probably better that you use Google Chrome to get your work in and that sort of thing. For some reason, it just works better. And here, something I'd like you to do is click here to pair your textbook once you get your textbook to the Canvas site. And if you're in Google Chrome, which I think it's wanting you to do, you just click there, and then there's a button that says pair textbook. You click that. And so these, the textbook and your Canvas page will be integrated correctly. I give very thorough instructions to all of your assignments. As we go through this, you will see that we have our grades where you can obviously track your grades. Remember when we talked about when grades get released, you got 3 days to look them over, and if you have questions about them, talk to me about that before the 3-day expiration date. Another thing I want you to keep an eye out on is the syllabus here. I want you to be able to see this button up here, jump to today. For some reason, it takes you to like 2020, which doesn't make any sense. But if you click to jump to today, that we've got assignments for this week and that sort of thing to take care of. Also on your calendar over here, that you're able to click your class so that your assignments and things like that all pop up on your calendar. So with that, we have toured your syllabus, your textbook, and your Canvas class shell. So I want to wish you the best of luck this semester. See you in class.